You have those moments in life. Well, maybe, I don't know if you do, but I certainly do, where I'm doing something and then all of a sudden the pattern starts to appear. And I don't really realize at the time what's happening or why it took so long for the pattern to evolve. But I've been writing the new book, right? Actually, I finished writing the new book, but now I'm putting together a white paper for the feedback about the Me project. And the reason the feedback about the Me project is so important is because when I ran the initial pilot, and then after that I sort of stopped and I decided, excuse me, I needed to finish writing the book. But the feedback, and I put this into the book, the feedback was essentially that when women understood how their psychoneuroimmunology, like endocrinology, all comes together, they learn actually that there might be biological explanation for why they feel the way that they feel. And that improves agency. So that means that they'll go and take action. They go back to the doctor and they tell them that they want to have a look at alternative options, that they don't just accept their psychological kind of experience as that's it. And as I was writing the paper, I suddenly realized that this all ties back to my original thesis from when I first graduated doing psychology, because I was already heading towards midlife. But this was in 2012. My thesis was actually about help-seeking behaviour. And when we give people a biological explanation for their psychological expression, they are more inclined to then seek help. Now, okay, that might not seem like a big thing, but this is huge because what it does is reduces stigma. And when you reduce stigma, people will take more action around their mental health, right? One of the biggest problems is that we know that mental health can impact, productivity very widely, like it's massive. And so why people won't seek help has always been one of those challenging questions from researchers, really. And I cannot believe that after all of this time, and I'm shaking, that I've tied it back in. But I have to read to you what this actually has come up with because, we all use AI to synthesize certain things, but I was synthesizing this stuff and it's come back and it basically said, at the moment, the white paper that I'm preparing, it explains the architecture, the method, the science, and the workplace relevance. What this new thread adds is the answer to the reader's deeper question. What changes for the woman once she understands the pattern? Because that's been the big thing in terms of why make changes. I'm going to have to sit this somewhere so it stops shaking. Oh, there you go. You can sit there. That matters because, the Me Project's not a diagnosis, but it's education. It provides health literacy and coaching with the aim of giving participants a biologically grounded explanation of symptoms and supporting more informed discussion with healthcare professionals, right? That was the whole point. And that's exactly where agency and medical self-advocacy live. Now, this bit I really didn't expect and it made me cry. This also fits beautifully with your wider body of work. In The Trouble with Trauma, you frame distress as an understandable human response rather than a personal defect, and you state very clearly that validation promotes action. In your workplace writing, you also argue that stigma does not have to remain a barrier to help seeking when people are hearing the right message. This gives me a very strong bridge between biological psychoeducation, reduced self-blame, and a greater willingness to seek support. There's also a nice conceptual fit with your own writing on empowerment and self-determination. You note that self-determination is strengthened when people experience autonomy, competence, and connection. A framework that helps a woman understand her symptoms, name the biological drivers, and enter clinical conversations with more clarity can reasonably be presented as supporting all three. And yes, that's a full circle moment. Your honours work was already sitting at the foundation, and the Me Project looks like it's now a practical application of a principle that you were exploring much earlier. Now, that really got me emotional And it got me emotional because sometimes when we're going through these difficulties, we don't really understand the full conceptual kind of connection behind it all. And I'm sitting here and I've finished the new book, and I'm now putting together this research element of, what's gone on in the Me Project, because it helped women. And that's a really important thing for me. It's all based on what I learned from my own experience last year, but it worked. And, who knew that it tied back into some of my earlier work? I kind of knew underneath it all. My thinking hasn't changed that much, right, over the years. But, it's a really big thing, because my original thesis basically said if you tell people that what they're experiencing might have a biological basis to it, and that means that they might be able to do something about it if they talk to the right health professional, they will seek help. And that's massive, because it's one of the biggest challenges that we have in health psychology, actually, is why people won't take action when there's something obviously causing distress. But it's because they often blame themselves internally for that distress. They don't really recognize that there could be something else underneath it all. And I'm going to say that's actually the problem of psychology broadly, is that there's this sense of individual responsibility that it gets internalized. And that's why people don't take steps to work out what's really going on, because they just blame themselves for being losers. And, this is such powerful and transformative work when we can see that actually when we help people understand that there's really strong biological drivers in your system that will impact how you feel and how you can show up on a day-to-day basis, and your energy and your drive and your opportunity for growth. And, that was a big part of why I wanted to do something with Edge. It's only just been the last couple of months that I felt like I've had my own energy and drive back to be able to do it. It's fantastic, actually. Anyway, I just wanted to share that because, sometimes when you're in the midst of doing all of this stuff and you kind of know that there's something important underneath it all, but you can't quite see where the pattern links up. Yeah, this was a big thing for me this morning. Anyway, so I hope that's of interest to you all.